Viewer discretion is advised. Welcome to the Mr. Pickup Trucker Podcast with a transporter and cows and campers.
Welcome everybody to the Mr. Pickup Trucker Podcast. And so today we got Ryan from Dan's Hitch on, and of course we got Sean and Seth. And we're probably gonna talk a little bit about our upcoming event we got planned here. Pretty excited about it. And we are partnering with Ryan from Dan's Hitch to help us out with that. So Ryan, we sure appreciate you coming by and talking with us today.
Yes.
It really means a lot. We thank you. We know you're awful busy and you got a lot going on there running your store. So anyhow, Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about, kind of like the history of your store? I assume you're multi-generational and you're keeping her rocking out, right?
Yep, that's accurate. Yep. You could go into the details of a really long story, but I'll give you a short version that's actually kind of important to how we started. My dad actually was running the Reese Service Center, which back in the 70s, it's American owned and locally owned. And they actually put a religious tract in every hitch that they sold. It was a company that was investing in people, building relationships, and just making what you would say inroads into society at the same time. And pretty much every Airstreamer around the 70s and 80s used Reese dual cam, so my dad actually helped write some of the instructions because it's kind of a complicated install, but basically they got bought out in the early 80s and they mandated a profit margin to his service center / trying to help with engineering and also working through their warranty stuff and why things failed. So he was kind of a multifaceted person inside of their organization, and they came in and mandated a profit margin. And he said, "Well, we can't do that. There's no way that can happen. We can't make that number. Well, we've never done that. Why would we do that? Well, because we did this, we did that, and it needs to look like this, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how it has to be." And he's like, "Well, I'm not going to do that." And they're like, "Well, yes, you are." And he said, "No, I'm not." So that was the beginning of Dan's Service Center, and that was in 1982. So we basically started because a corporate entity mandated a profit margin that was unrealistic for what was, good for the consumer. And that's, the premise that we started on was helping people and trying to decide how can we best serve individuals that want to tow, put them in a position to be successful. So, we more or less started because of that scenario. And I started on and off in 86, 87, worked in high school, went to college for a year and kind of figured out at that time from our family situation that I'd probably be back here. So since 1989, which is a long time ago, I've been here pretty much full time. And in 1999, my father had mentioned to me that, hey, you're going to work harder than I am. I can see that. So he passed it along to me at that time. And he said, just keep paying me. And interestingly enough, on, whatever this is, a Wednesday at 6:00 at night, he's actually in the back welding a loop plate on a hitch for a client who wanted one.
Nice.
At 6:05. And I'm happy to have received the torch from him. And he works really hard, but for him to say, "You're going to work harder than I am," that was something that I can promise you I will never let that down. And so you would see when you're here and the people that come in, I always want them to know that we would do anything for them. We literally are get down in foxhole people, and we're like, "Hey, sometimes you're going to be in the foxhole longer with us than you want to be, but we're going to climb out of here and we're going to, do what you need to do as soon as we can and make that all happen." So that was basically the premise of how we started. We've been in the hitch business. He was a fabricator by nature, so he loves to weld. And one of the things that's really nice to have him around, he likes to build hitches from scratch. So he's 81 this year. And you'll see him from time to time underneath a RV, and he'll be putting a big hitch on the back that turns into a bike rack hitch, because most of the ones in the back of RVs on towables are really lightweight, so they wouldn't handle a bike rack and the manipulation of 200, 300 pounds floating and bouncing around, or generator in the back. So, that's kind of our history. It's fun to say that he's still back there kind of doing his thing. And that's kind of the overview of our business and how we started. But my brother works here. My wife works here. We've got a technician that's been here for 43 years. He comes in 4 days a week. Most of the people that we have here, we want to have here. We try to keep them here. We kind of consider it a family type atmosphere. They're touching people's $20,000 to $110,000 trucks. We want them to care. It's meaningful to us that when fuel tanks go in and fifth wheels go in and mud flaps go on, even the weirdest thing is mud flaps, we want them to be straight. We want them to be right. We take pride in what we're doing, so that if the guy leaves our place and he's headed to a recruitment and he's headed to show someone his truck, we want that to be the bar or the bench for whoever the guy is that's checking him in, the safety guy, or he's delivering his RV. We kind of preach to our clients, who we consider them family after they've been in our organization. We kind of preach to them that if your truck's straight, your wires aren't hanging, your breakaway's tidy and it's separate from the hitch, you basically have told a story to the DOT officer who's looking at you to ignore you. We want our clients to be invisible to them because our things are straight. If there's a cover on it, it's perfect. If there's hidden components, we coach people, don't leave water bottles laying around. You get some New York DOT cop a reason to say, let's get $160 from this guy and let's look a little deeper,
Yep.
So that's kind of the overview of a lot of our installs and our thought processes, what we try to do and how we're trying to help people. I mean, the bottom line is, we know if a guy's chewing up 150,000 175,000 miles a year, we know that if he can be successful, there's going to be things that he needs. He's going to need us to maybe put a grill guard on. Maybe he looked at one too many grizzly bears or moose over the last month and a half. He can't take it anymore, and he puts a big grill guard on or whatever. So we realize that the relationships are important, and we try to do our part.
Good. That's good.
I know.
So you go ahead, Seth.
Ryan, when I started, I went there to you guys, and I was starting at Foremost, and I believe you guys even have like a list that the companies require.
That's correct.
You were like, well, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this?
Yeah.
You basically just, whatever I didn't have, you made sure I had it before I left.
That's a great point and a great conversation piece. Like, we literally, when a client comes in, we're going to print off that list from every company, and most of us know them by heart, but we print that list off and then we walk around. That's why sometimes our engagements take so long, because we're going to literally walk to the client's truck. If it's snowing or raining, we pull the guy's truck in. Then we're going to walk around with that list, checklist. And then there's sometimes the guy never even thought about this, or he never thought about that. And then we just try to, as you already know, fill those blanks tax-free, cheap as we can, to try to make sure that if they start, we want them to start well with whatever they can, and then just continue to fill the blanks in. That's right. That's a really good point. We look through those lists and we kind of just check them off, because we, again, want them to just show up. We always tell people we're hoping that you're the star of the class, because the moment that they have checked off your boxes, then they start showing everybody else in the class what they should have done. And hopefully they've done that on our client's truck. You know what I mean? So yes, exactly.
Yeah. And you guys have every size fuel. I think you told me you have a semi trailer full of fuel tanks. Is that?
Oh yeah, they come in on semis, but I have technically a building behind us. So the trailer sales, we still have half that building. That's basically full of fuel tanks. So that is more or less a couple semi trailers. We try to have somewhere between 120 and 200 tanks on hand. So, if you get a run, or like sometimes there's usually a 6-week lead time, but like right now there's a 12 to 16 week lead time, because all of a sudden everybody, some of our clients, they want tanks because of like what you guys do and the fact that you're out there enlightening the person. I mean, that's actually the favorite thing that I have to sell is a fuel tank, because the moment I've done that, the moment that that person has taken the time to put that investment into his business, his profits, his clear profits go up, in my opinion, roughly somewhere around 30%. And the only thing that he did was change the range of the day. His 10.5 hours, he can impact the road in a way that he can't do it any other way. And then he can also impact the road by, in this world that we're living in right now, he can find some $4.40 to $5 fuel instead of $6.99 or $7.99, which obviously is driving all of us crazy. But at that point, that's our biggest thing. If I can get a guy into a fuel tank, I know at that moment I've put him in a position where his profits become maximized. So he's a go-getter. He's going to run the road. He's going to run it hard. Sometimes on the way back, maybe he's a ghost. I mean, that happens sometimes. You just pop up here, pop up there, and then you go make some more magic happen. So we love that. We want those fuel tanks. That's like the biggest thing. I mean, I tell people, yes, we're going to make a couple $100, and we want to get that in your truck. But at the end of the day, I know there's a really good chance that if you're strong at math and you do a lot of research, when you're buying fuel, you're probably going to make $300 to $400 a week minimum in variation of your range. You might get an earlier delivery schedule because you only had to fuel once a day. I mean, all the stuff that you guys talk about, and you could talk about this ad nauseum, but I'm telling you, we really want to invest in our clients. If they can make money, we know that there's a chance that we're going to sell an air ride system. We know that there's a chance that we're going to put a Gen Y on the back. And I've had enough people tell me that they're believing that they get better fuel mileage with their Gen Y because they're not driving through the constant chug that the trailer is causing the suspension to go backwards and pull backwards and pull backwards, that the trailer's now gliding. Actually, we put a GoPro video together with a small semi single axle pulling an RV so that we could maximize the variation of one moving and one not moving to give people a full encapsulation of what's happening. I'll have to send that to you guys so you can check that out. But it's a really great.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we love the fuel concepts. We try to. There's a lot of people come in and they're like, I can only put a 40-gallon tank or a 72-gallon tank in this truck, and that's only because that's what they've heard. And in a lot of cases, we have 10 or 20% more in the size for that application. I'll use a short bed Ram as an example. A lot of people only put in 50s. We have a 60. A lot of people on a short bed Ram that have rails can go up to 80 easily. If you make a small modification, you can go to 90. So, I feel like every gallon matters, but that's because I've been around this my entire life. I like to say I was chewing on Hitch balls for pacifiers when I am telling my story, but that's of course a little bit of a joke as well. But we love it. We're trying to invest in our people, invest in our clients, make sure that if there's any way possible that they're going to go out and attack the road, you got to just be ready to, like you guys know, DOT, your whole goal is to be, it's good to go through an inspection and have a positive report, but it's also really nice to just be ignored and keep moving.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
I know when I went to you guys to start and I got my fuel tank, I had been looking around trying to find one, but I didn't know what size, right? I didn't know how tall it could be. I didn't know anything.
No matter which brand you drive, keep them running like new with Hotshot Super Everyday Diesel Treatment. Link below.
I went to you guys and you were like, yeah, you can use this or this. And it was easy, right?
And we give you options, right? All right. Like
you can look for days, but you never know exactly what's going to work, or is a fifth wheel going to hit it, or that's you guys know all that.
Absolutely. And then like you future-proof yourself, and I generally try to help the client future-proof himself to not put something in that will cause them future pain or future expense. And that's a really good point about the fact that, like, if it is going to cause them future pain, I'll just use the example of clients that are short bed Rams, and they're like, I'm never going to pull a fifth wheel. I'm going to be rear hitch only. You know, like I get some people that are following their son's hockey. He plays college hockey, and so he's just following him around, and he wants to have maximum fuel, but I'm never going to pull fifth wheels. So I take a 118 gallon tank, put a small modification for the wheel well, put a 110 gallon tank in a short bed Ram. And most other people would say, you can't do that. That's not possible. That doesn't exist. And I'm like, well, you're right, unless you go to dance. Then everything exists. It just basically boils down to what's your appetite for getting exactly what you want. And I'm going to see if I can stand up and move this because why you guys are here. I'm just going to say, if you look at, and you made a great point. So let me see if I can get the camera. All right. So like you're talking, you've got Born on Dating, which is a great way to describe. So can we see the sticker?
Go left a little bit more.
Half of it.
Yep.
How about now?
Nope.
I can see it on YouTube, so that's good.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yep.
So the short story is Born on Dating and serial number. So that tank has been approved, and you made a great comment. There's a lot of people that come in, they're like, I was at Tractor Supply and it was $645. And I'm like, well, on the Tractor Supply tank, it says you can't hook it to the truck, you can't use it for interstate commerce, and you can't use it. Well, why do they make it? Well, because there's people that are doing, like as an example, they're doing construction, or they're doing, farmers basically don't have to apply many rules to their reservoirs, and they're paid a lot less attention to from a DOT standpoint, so they can kind of quote unquote get away with a tank that hasn't been certified 30 feet in the air, drop tested. These tanks have been drop tested from 30 feet with 10 gallons of water. And if it leaks more than half of that, 5 gallons in 30 minutes, it fails. So they keep repeating that process until it's going to pass. So then that's the whole point of the Born on Dating and the serial numbers. Just puts you, me, everybody in a position where if you're having a weird conversation with a DOT officer in Idaho, as an example, and you're like, hey, I don't understand that you did this, you did that. Well, then you can show them that tag. It says right on it what you can do, tells them what, CFR 49, it gives you all the ratings. That's one of the things that you're bringing up some really good points about, like your experiences, the beginning of your experiences. You're just going to get nothing but good information. And sometimes we tell people the truth, even when it's frustrating to them, like, hey, I really don't want to put that tank in, and here's why, and then they're mad. Or, you're going to do a DOT inspection for a guy, and you're looking at him, and you're like, hey, you probably should disconnect this hose and do your DOT inspection, and then treat that as a reservoir tank, and here's why. And sometimes that makes people mad. Obviously, we're just honest, and we're trying to coach them to the right thing, because at the end of the day, it's not always about the money. It's about the money will come. It's about being excellent to somebody, making sure that they're making good decisions. And just like we would have done with you, I'd have been trying to, like, hey, look at this 60, look at this 69. If you're going to do a hardcover and it's 2 inches lower, and maybe you're going to do that. So I always try to work through the things and ask, Mike, are you thinking about a hardcover? Or are you soft cover? What's going on in your life? What's your vision for your truck? And then let's talk through that. So there's a lot of times where we actually get to have that conversation. So Stacy, Ty, or my brother Nate, we could literally talk to somebody for 20 to 40 minutes on an engagement in the morning when you're starting their project. And then there's sometimes people are like, why is this taking so long? Well, excellence isn't always fast, but sometimes you gotta just like wait. And we the person that's behind that person, they're equally important, but yet at the end of the day, it's just like making calls back. I mean, you guys know this because you all know us, but we have this book. It's like our little Bible, and the book, there's 40 to 70 calls that come in a day, and those start getting texted back and called back, and you just go through the people that aren't here as fast as you can, because the human beings that are in front of you, and there's 4 people that are quote unquote helping, and helping them figure out what's best for them. You're working through all that stuff to just make their lives good. And then you work on bringing the other people in so they can have that experience. But sometimes, we lose a few people because they're like, God, there's no way that they're that busy. But at the end of the day, you guys have been here. You were here for the other poker run and that kind of stuff. And, it's always fun because if you're ever thinking when you come into just a hitch shop and you're like, oh, I just come in, I'll talk to them. Well, sometimes you come in and there's like 7 people. So then you're the 8th and you just wait, and we just keep smiling and keep trying to do it. So,
Yep. Yeah. And that's something you got used tanks as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm always, because short beds and long beds aren't the same application. So like sometimes I'll get a 60 gallon because the guy went from a short bed ram to a long bed, and he'll trade me a 60 and I'll put a 118 in for him. So he'll upgrade, and then I give him $400 or $600 and just trying to turn those. And then that helps me help someone else who's starting. We work with used hitches. We occasionally have used fifth wheels. I do have some used hitchcrafter stuff that I work my way through when somebody's trying to build a business. Because, when you transfer from one side of the business to the other, it's expensive. Like, it can be shockingly expensive, and sometimes people aren't ready for that. But that's how sometimes they'll gain a 118 because then somebody needs a low profile, or they decided to do a mega cab instead of a crew cab, or they went from, Ram to Ford or whatever. So that's a great point. Great question. I do a lot of those. And if I'm going to have them, it normally is going to be an RDS. It's going to be something that was labeled because anytime I sell something like that, I like to be able to have the person, have a real invoice, a real ticket, and actually be able to go through an inspection without having any wonderment about where it came from. So great point.
Well, I cut you off, so.
Yeah, I had a guy that went to you guys last week, and he texted me at 9:30 at night, and he said, I just left Dan's Hitch. They stayed here till 9 something at night to make sure I was at orientation the next day. And yeah, he was super excited.
Yes.
So.
Yep, I think I know who you're talking about. He was driving a white Ram, maybe.
White Ram with a tow truck set up on the repo setup.
Yeah, and part of that was like he was smart enough to ask some questions, and so we kept answering them, and he's decided through that process to like grab a few things. And that's our goal, is like if somebody comes in and they're in a position where they're trying to like make a deadline. I mean, the bottom line is I'm never gonna put that person in front of someone, but I can easily go to a technician and say, hey, I've got a client that needs help. He's going to be somewhere tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Can we come in at 6? Can you put in an extra hour and a half here? And I'll tell you that 9 times out of 10, the first tech I go to says yes. And then if I go to another tech, then there's an 8 or 9 time out of 10 chance that I'm going to get that tech to do it as a backup. So the reality is I rarely let anybody down. Our rule of thumb is if somebody comes in, and especially if they're learning or they come in with the idea that they want help, for us, if somebody starts pushing us around at 3:30 in the afternoon, then sometimes that gets a little complicated. But when they come in and they're like, hey, will you help me? My first answer is, well, let's see what you need. And we commonly want to walk out, or I'll walk out, or Ty will walk out, and we'll literally look at their truck and just say, okay, so basically, if we put these flaps on, and you put this flap on, and you put on this D-ring, and we get you a DOT inspection, tomorrow, you're going to be able to show it to them. They're going to approve you. They're going to know that you know us because your flaps are straight. And then they're going to be like, hey, I'm going back to Dan's tomorrow at 4 after orientation, and then I'm going to get this put in, I'm going to get that put in, and I'll be back here on Wednesday at, as an example, 8 o'clock for the balance of orientation. We do that kind of stuff all the time because we realize that it's relationship based. And for us, we like to consider drivers our drivers, and we would like to be considered their shop. Like when it's our driver, if he has an issue or a failure, or he has something like, one of the things we could easily talk about is we like B&W so much because if I call them about a warranty, they're basically like, what's the serial number? You give them the serial number, it's fixed. RDS, if I call them with a serial number, they're like, what was the date again? Give them the date. And I just like, we're dealing with manufacturers that have the same philosophy we have, which is don't talk about it, fix it. Sometimes you have a little bit of communication about what happened or work your way back through the details of what caused it because you don't want to have it happen again. But, I like to say we don't want to make anybody feel some type of way unless they're, attacking us. Then we're like, hey, you need to feel a little different way and let's take care of this. Let's figure out how to get together. We're both men or we're both men and women. Let's just be gentlemen and ladies and figure this out. No big deal. So great point.
So, Don, you've had several trucks worked on there, right?
Yeah, more than
Yes.
just about. Well, everyone I've actually owned, and then one or two enterprise trucks. The latest truck hasn't been in there yet, and the reason being is that I was going to make content that didn't blow up like I thought it was going to blow up, but it was to show the difference, and I'm going to say it. It's going to show the difference in cheap work versus quality work. So when I got the Peterbilt, Absolute put the hitch plate on, and they put the gooseneck plate on. Well, they put the gooseneck plate on upside down, and then wondered how I was going to put the ball in it. It's a B&W turnover ball. How do you screw that up? Well, they found a way.
Well, they turned it over.
Yes, they turned the turnover over, and then almost to a degree blamed me for it.
Wow.
And I thought, it was my fault, 100%. I shouldn't have went there.
Yep.
But so people can kind of understand when I preach dance. If you want it done right the first time, drop it off. When he calls and says, hey, it's done, you pick it up. You don't have to walk around it. You know it's done. It's done correctly. Yeah. And the reason why you don't have to walk around is because they're one of you, whether it be Nate or Ryan says, hey, go find so-and-so in the back and have them walk you around your truck. Because at this point, that's where I'm at with dance is go find so-and-so, he'll walk you around your truck.
Every time. Nobody leaves.
Every time.
Nobody leaves.
And I know what I want. I know what I asked for. And they're going to show me even, hey, do you know how to take the ball out of your turnover ball? Yes, I do. Well, yeah, you do reach down here and pull this lever. I already know that. But they're going to take the time to explain it to me again. And I like that.
Tired of no one believing you? DOT stops for following too close? Don't feel safe when you're parked overnight in a seated truck stop? Get your Wolfbox today. Link below.
The Mr. Pickup Trucker Podcast is an Amazon affiliate.
So the fenders, I had 2 days. Now, I'm never going to push for a 2-day turnaround Thanksgiving weekend. I know that that's impossible. Mike's like, oh, I can get that done. And he did. I will give him credit. He did get it done. However, the fenders were about 3 inches taller than the fifth wheel. But the fenders were on the truck. I guess I should have been more technical and said I need them below the fifth wheel. Assuming that.
So that you could turn and hook up, maybe.
Well,
just,
I mean.
like be able to hook up to the hitch.
A hookup would have been nice. But, and I'll give him credit for this. Well, Sean, if you tear it up, I'll warranty it. Well, how about I just not tear it up?
Yep. Yep.
And so, yes, that's why when I was in there the other day, when I said when I go to Alaska, I'm dropping a truck off, I apologize ahead of time. You got some stuff to fix, and I should have went there to begin with. But I thought I could make video. Everyone saw how great the Cascadia came out, and I dropped it off for a week, picked it up a week later. Everything was the B&W Hitch. Oh, if you didn't know any better, you'd swear B&W made it for that Cascadia. All the brackets were welded. All the cross members were bolted and put in together. Everything. I mean, it legitimately looked like B&W took an engineer and said, "All right, we're going to make a turnover ball for the back of a semi." And I loved that. It was awesome. Did I get that with this? No.
That's sometimes the things that get us a little bit in trouble, though. That's actually, I love those points, and those are talking points, because sometimes we're like, how's come it took you 4 hours more to do this than so and so, or how's come you have to have this for a week if you're going to do this, this, or this? Why is that? Like, you enter some conversations, and you basically just explained why it is, because
Yes.
if things fit back together, like that is, I'll tell you, one of our secrets is, and it's not a big secret because you guys just talked about it, but like, if the guy's new, if he's experienced, or anywhere in between, when that fuel tank gets done, and we're doing one of those right now, we send him for fuel, come back, we turn it on, we test the fittings, we check the valve, check the flow, check the gauge, and then we're going to teach the client what our expectations would be, what he should expect them to be, and then try to make sure that if there's any future conversations, it's like, oh, my buddy told me to just open my valve and I left it on for 9 years. And so that's always just going to work. And, sometimes you have another conversation with a client. Well, it's a check valve, but the bottom tank does have, 2 vents or 3 vents, depending on who made it. So, those are vents, and, those operate in the manner in which air moves in and out of them. So fuel could move in and out. And so let's be careful. So we walk through all that stuff, and I really appreciate all of your guys' comments, like relative to the, just the lists and making sure that people are comfortable. And then when they walk in, we want them to walk in here confident, and then walk in where they're going to show somebody their equipment confident. And then you take that one step farther. When they show up to the dealer, like there's some companies that people pull for, that they ask for a ball height lower than I want to do it. And I do it because it's a corporate mandate. It needs to be at 21 inches. We'll just use that as an example. And, if that
know exactly who you're talking about.
Yes. So they mandate it. And so then I say, well, you're going to have this number, and it has to be that number. And there's a few reasons why people would say, your hookups could be dangerous, or you get to the trailers, and you guys are probably covering this at various times for newbies and people who are learning. But like, you go to the yard, and the trailer's jack is 4 inches into the mud, and there's no wood under it. Well, I always tell people, those guys get paid to get those trailers to the yard. They don't get paid to get the trailer to the yard correctly. So because of that scenario, that means it's not going to probably be there correct. And there's a lot of guys that care and throwing woods here and wood there and doing their best. But when you get there, if it's really low, you got a little bit of work ahead of you. So I would suggest having enough wood that you can put it underneath, get the jack up, get another piece of wood underneath, so that you can get that inch or two. Because if I'm a dealer and we coach people, hey, we want your trailer to go in at least somewhat level. I'm a little nose low kind of a guy, because I want to cheat the wind. I don't want my trailer to be 2 inches nose high. I would prefer it to be, if I was actually picking a number, I would want to be 1 inch nose low. So I still look level, but I'm cheating the wind, because every single dollar in this business is about fuel mileage. Every single dollar is about conservation.
That's correct.
You guys do this. I've heard you talking. I always tell people, when I do this, which I will be, I'll be fruits, nuts, and berries during the day. I'll have a cooler. And if I'm going to have steak and eggs, which I will have, if I'm going to have steak and eggs, it's going to be before or after I start. But when I start, I'm going to run at 65 mile an hour or 62 mile an hour or 67 mile an hour, like the devil is chasing me all day.
Yep.
For 10 and a half hours or whatever I can kind of round the corners off. I'm going to get as far as I can. I'm going to do everything I can. And if you're talking about the details of trailer heights, there's a lot to be said about guys that run their fifth wheels all the way up to the top because either they don't know any better or somebody didn't put them in right. And, you know, the gap between their fifth wheel and their truck bed is 10 inches. And then that just means that their top of their trailer is 3 or 4 inches higher than it needs to be. If you talk to UPS and you said to them, hey, we're going to raise your trailer heights 4 inches. Every trailer that you run, you're going to raise it 4 inches. That would probably cost them $3 to $4 million in fuel a year because their trailers were 3 or 4 inches higher. So, like, I think all that stuff matters. I think the details that people should look at when they're doing this business, you know, you get a $3,200 check, you get a $2,700 check, you hit a home run and you get a $4,400 check. How much of that can I keep? How much of that did I put myself in a position to be excellent? I was able to buy fuel for, you know, let's just talk about before Iran affair here that we've got going on. You know, a lot of our clients that do 118 gallons, they make the run, they're going down through 40, and they get 2,000 miles worth of fuel for 242 to 279, and they were doing it all the time. And that's real money, right? I mean, the moment you fill that tank, that's real money. You can even get into conversations, and I do this from time to time with people about weights and CDLs and my weight rating in my truck, and maybe I'm going to be over, and they want me to haul CDL loads, and I got to do this, this, and this. And I'm, well, always think about it like this, that at the end of the day, if you put a bigger fuel tank in, you can short fill it. It doesn't mean that you had to use it all. So if you are going to go through Arizona, you're going to get scaled. You got a CDL load and you're worried about the numbers and you're right at the number, you can half fill. So that's not that complicated. You save 300-400 pounds, and then the next time you're in today's world at $4.70, you're going to fill up maximum, whatever you can get to maximize your, you know, the fuel weight is in your draft. So it's not affecting you in a way or a manner that you should care. You should really care about the dollars and the 50 cents. I mean, if you take that out and you divide it by, you know, a lot of guys are going to spend 30, 40, 50, 60,000 in a year in fuel. And you can pretty much just say, you're going to save 30% minimum. So that means most people at a fuel tank, they're going to make or clear 10 to 20 grand, depending on how hard they run, how big of units they pull, and whether they're like me. I would always want to find that 62 to 67. I mean, the only time it makes sense to run fast, and you guys know this, is that if you have to make an Oregon delivery and you might be stuck for 2 days, maybe it makes sense to burn a little bit extra fuel, because then on Monday and Tuesday, you can earn 900 and 900 instead of 0 and 0 coming back from Oregon because you were stuck there for, you know, almost 48 hours because you missed a 3 o'clock delivery on a Friday.
Yep.
You know, that kind of really sucks. You know, those are the things that I think about that a fuel tank might be able to get that guy with it. We'll just talk about a short bed Ram real quick. Short bed Ram, 60 gallons. If he had a 30-gallon tank before, he's only got usable maybe 26. Some of the times you're pulling a big trailer, you're filling up at 22 gallons. You're going to fill up on your way to Oregon 14 to 16 times. Like, you literally, by the time you get through the second day, you're so miserable that you don't even know what to do, or you don't know that you should be so miserable. So if you get that 60-gallon tank, and I always tell people, if you can get anywhere from 500 to 700 true miles, so that you can focus and make that 30-minute break of yours, you can maximize that break and tie it in with being in the right spot instead of the truck mandating you, be it some Indian reservation. You know, nothing against the Indians, because obviously they're wonderful people. They got great casinos. We love it. But, you know, that doesn't mean that there's not water in some of their fuel. And, you know, do you really want to fill up there? Do you really want to be there at 12 at night? I mean, sometimes maybe not, but those are all, you know, I love it.
We got a question here. There's a guy wanting to know if you sell auxiliary tanks for gasser.
Yeah, so gas is a little bit of a complicated story, but that's a great conversation. The reality is, and I tell people this all the time with gas, you're supposed to be in the presence of the fill. That's the easiest way to say it. So transfer flow makes a 40 gallon, a 50 gallon, an 80 gallon, and a 109 gallon. And I probably have all of them in stock. But you're supposed to put them in a manner where you stop. They got a 12 gallon pump, 12 gallon per minute pump. Turn your toggle on, 12 gallons per minute. You're done in 3 to 5 minutes. Flip the toggle the other direction. It sucks the rest of the gasoline into your tank so that you don't have a wick in the bed of your truck. So that's important. And I think that is important to explain. So gasoline is explosive. You know, diesel, you have to start it on fire to set it on fire. So like people have to think about that. They're like, well, why can't I pump it in this truck? Well, there's about 3 different reasons that you can't directly fill it. But if you penetrate the fill neck, or you're going to pump it in, you're going to change the vacuum. The truck checks for vacuum the moment you start it, if it's gasoline. So with today's trucks, it's going to throw a code. And a lot of times it will run a little bit different. So there's weird stuff that goes on. So you really don't ever want to make it as convenient as diesel is. But yes, the answer is a direct yes. We do usually 40, 50, 82, and 109. And we stock those and transfer flow. Like when we get off, I'll send you guys a link. You could maybe post it, but there's like a really nice way to go down and then just analyze what's happening. It's similar money because you actually have a pump, but it's something that makes it super convenient. And you can be somewhere with your cheap fuel. You can fill up in a rest area on the fly. You know, if you only got a 26 gallon or a 32 gallon or 36 gallon gasoline tank, you could literally be filling up every 2 hours. So, you know, if you can do that 5 minutes on the side of the road or a pleasant rest area, now you're not literally having to, you know, do commerce with a credit card and do commerce and talk to someone, or fill up with a gasoline truck where you got 60 feet of truck and trailer and you're trying to figure out what gas stop you're going to go to next and whether it's even still open. You know, that's miserable.
Yep.
I tell guys, you know, it costs a lot of money just to stop your truck, get off that off ramp, pull in, stop, you know, pull back out, take off again. You're burning fuel. Like,
Sean,
you know,
weren't we
just to
talking?
stop it and start.
Yeah, weren't we talking about the stopping and starting costs one time? Wasn't that me and you talking about that a while back?
Yeah.
Didn't we put a number on that? But I can't remember.
I don't remember the number. I know for every minute you're off the road is equivalent to 4 miles down the road, something like that. I have to go back and look.
I love that. Those are the details that I'm talking about. Like the guys that get into the details, just like you're saying, 1 minute's worth 4, and they're worth anywhere from $1.50 to $3 per minute.
Yeah.
And you're going to leave that on the table for what reason? Which is, you know, some people argue on tanks. Like I've had people give me a hard time, especially when I was younger, about the fact that, you know, I drove a big truck and I did this and I did that and I got to go to the bathroom anyways. And they tell me for 9 minutes why they don't want a tank. And then I'm like, well, if you're out there and you're just smelling the roses and you're going to stop and see Mount Rushmore and money doesn't mean anything to you, well, okay, that I could see where that might be a thing. You're going to go to the bathroom, you're going to walk. But if you don't have a fuel tank, the same conversation I have with them, say, okay, so you had a trip to Oregon, and where you went to the restroom, fuel was $6.99. How does what you just told me make sense?
That doesn't
make any sense. And then even worse, you're in the hills in California coming out. They ain't giving that away. It's $7.
Yeah.
They know that if you got a 30-gallon tank, I mean, that's the math they're doing. We want to do the math that takes those people who are trying to take advantage of small tanks out of play. We want you to be in control. We want you to be making the money. Bottom line is, if my clients make the money, that's good for me, and we love it, and we want them to be successful.
Always on the road? Tired of cheap gas station toilet paper? Or maybe none at all? Get yourself some dude wipes. No one likes an itchy butt. Link below.
We want them to change trucks every 5 years. Guys that attack the road. I mean, I get a lot of people back when Dodges were unencumbered with emissions. We were getting from the year 2000 to the year 2010. I always have a Dodges come in with 1.5 million miles all the time. Now, 3 transmissions, but 1.5 million miles, motor still running, motor no work. Those trucks were, the pre-emission stuff was fantastic and they would get great fuel mileage. Now you got to work your way through. Can I get to I just had a pickup truck in today, and he's become long-term client, Dalton, super nice guy. He's got a single wheel Ford, and he just turned 603,000. And I think he's a 19 Ford F-350 and turned 603,000. He's got a really nice truck. He took the time to put an aluminum front bumper on, a painted to match rear bumper. He did a hard cover. So we custom built a 118. We took a 12 by 12 square out of the back of a 118 so he could slide it underneath one of the hard covers with the retracts, rolls into the box like a garage door. And he's got an underbody tank, 60 gallons or so. So he's probably got 170 gallons or so available to him. And a guy like that, we talk about stories about where he was, what he did, that he can deadhead back at any point. And then you're only buying from fuel stations that you literally start only buying from people that you trust. They got the best deal, free shower tickets. Maybe they have a food that you want, or you're starting to get a spiff from them because you've met some numbers. I mean, you take that over the period of a year, that's worth another $1,000, minimum.
Yep.
And that's just like free on top of the other goodness.
Is a 118, that's about as big as they get, isn't it?
Yes. The largest legal container is 119. So 118 is the size that, we would want to use. There's a slight bit built in for air. First time you fill it, it's normally 118. It's probably usable somewhere 110 or plus, but that's the largest legal single container that you can have. And there's a lot of reasons that it makes sense. It's actually over on the floor right there behind the 60, and it's roughly 55 by 30 and a half by 17, which allows for hard covers on every truck except for a Ram. On a Ram, you can lower the lid into the tank and still do a hard cover on a Ram as well. So that is a nice setup. And, that's probably our number one seller. Our next best seller is a lot of times the 95 tool and fuel that's over there. So you get a little bit more storage and a little bit more fuel than the 90. So that gives kind of max with some extras, but as you guys know, you already were talking about earlier, toolboxes behind the fifth wheel. You literally can do virtually every size or style. That's sometimes where people, we actually modify a toolbox, or we'll custom build one that's like only 36 inches, like you guys see up there at the top, so that a person can run a generator or a jackalope or something at the back. So then they can still have storage, and then maybe on the other side, because normally if you do a medium or small generator or jackalope, your fifth wheels will still turn over the top of whatever you set in one of those back corners. So that's another great way to try to control your temperature and your atmosphere in your vehicle and that kind of stuff. Because as you know, it'd be really neat if someday somebody builds a small APU unit for our industry. That would be so nice.
It'd be handy.
Something.
Could you invent that for us,
It's
please?
all my Peterbilt.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That's what we need, is a version of that just literally sips diesel and can do heating and cooling. It doesn't even have to be like, as long as you guys know this, as long as you can keep it like 50, 60, got a blanket, or in the summer, just not 85 and muggy or miserable.
It's more the humidity than the heat,
Mm-hmm.
honestly.
Yep. Yep.
So let's change the subject here a little bit. We're knocking on an hour, and we know you got a lot of stuff to do.
It's fast.
Yeah.
So we are working on this whole RV transporter meet, and you have partnered with us. So let's talk about a little bit about how you're going to participate in that and some of the things you got lined up. Maybe build some excitement as far as going into this, what guys can expect to win from our raffle.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we're really excited. We are glad to be there. We really believe in what you're doing. We love being part of the poker run. That first time that you guys put that together with us, and it's just nice. I feel like you're digging into the people, you're digging into the community of our drivers, and digging in with some of the transport companies, because we're all kind of a community. So I love that. We're going to have my dad over there. We're going to bring over a trailer, maybe, and just set up for display to have a few items out for people to just be able to chat and or let just them see some things that we have and or talk about it. But the raffle side of things, we're going to put together one of the winners that we'll supply is a fuel tank, or biggest tank that you can get, or biggest tank that you want in your short bed or long bed. So whoever wants that will be able to determine. We'll kind of partner up with RDS there so that we can supply you with a really nice raffle ticket that basically that means that client's going to win $1,295 to $795 of value on that raffle ticket. That's basically what that would be installed. We'll take care of that from front to rear, and then even warranty it for them. So we'll make that a really nice special treat. We're super excited about that. It's nice. We'll be partnering with RDS, and then we're also going to put together another one into the raffle that will be a different pull for someone to win a new fifth wheel. So we'll either update whatever they have to a new B&W and recreational vehicle all the way up to 25,000 pounds. So if they're a prep package and they have a competitor of B&W, or they have a B&W that's older and they get a refresh, we're going to put a brand new B&W into their truck for them.
Nice. I don't know if everybody was paying attention right there, but that's like $3,000.
That's like $3,000. So that's
thank you, Dan. Or I mean, thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome.
That you tickled my heart.
You're welcome. Yeah, we love what you're doing. Like we absolutely, the moment you had started talking about that and had asked, we knew we were going to do something, but we were going to try to do something as big as we could, because we want to be involved, and it's exciting to, it's a community thing. You guys are taking care of veterans. It's nice to have OptiVet involved. Those guys are doing good works, and we're excited to be part of that. So we want to make sure that we can do everything that we can.
Well, thank you.
Awesome.
I hope guys are paying attention.
Did you say your dad is going to come to the event?
Yep. We'll have him there. Cool. Just give us a little spot, and it's nice. He'll be able to sit there and he can partake with the food, hang out a little bit, and then maybe pull the raffles. And he'll love to do that. He does a lot of our orientation stuff, like if we go do events, because he's, it's nice. It's nice for him to chat, and he's got so much experience. He's literally got, if you talk about us as far as workers, both of us are, back in the day, he was working 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week. Now, as a rule, our staff at the front probably works, depending on the week, 50, 60, 70-ish. So there's a lot of years of experience, a lot of years of, digging into people. We do a lot of fixing people's components, like say they're going through a stretch or a hard patch, or they had a motor go. And, I just recently had somebody that spent, he had 35,000 saved up, and he spent 25 grand on a motor and 5 grand on front end work. And, so then he's feeling that pain. And then, so you fix something else that you would have wanted to replace, but you're bridging that gap until he has 2 or 3 months at 15,000, 15,000. Well, then you feel a little bit better, so.
Yeah.
Yep. No, looking forward to having him be over there. Again, we love what you guys are doing. Love the promotion of veterans. Like to see how many people that you can help through this just one event, and then maybe turn that into something where you just get to keep
We'll be back.
keep giving.
We'll
keep
be
giving.
back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yes. I know.
Yeah.
Real quick, when I started, I didn't know how to use a weight distribution hitch, and I watched your dad has a YouTube video on
Yep.
weight distribution hitch, and that's how I figured it out. So
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that'd
put
be
a lot
cool.
of details.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, we got a couple more questions. We're not at an hour yet. So, there's a couple guys that were asking. So that 69-gallon tank, that's the biggest one you can get in a short bed Ram.
The short bed Ram, the biggest one without modifications, if it's a prep package, is 60. The biggest you can put in, if it's a rail system or no system, is 80. So the 80 fits right up to the rails. The tab and the rail actually are in the same range, and you drill through both when you put it in. We actually do that a lot because, back in the day when they weren't coming with prep packages, most people don't want to cover the prep package because it's such a beautiful way to put a fifth wheel in. But 60 is the number with prep package Ram, and 80 is the number with a rail system or a future rail system. And 110 is the largest you could put in if you're probably never going to put a fifth wheel in. Then you can be all the way back 30 inches, but you really only want to be 20 inches, which is what 80 is on rails, and 13 inches, which is what 60 gallons is on a prep package.
All right. So anyhow, back to the event. Let's try to get everybody there. And like I said, you got me. I called you Dan and not Ryan. That prize package you put together, that is, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I can't. That's really awesome. I hope you understand that you. Yeah. Wow.
When you told me you were cooking and you were bringing meat and you were going to take care of this place and you were going to take care of that get together, I knew right away that was a big deal and we should get involved as big as we could.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
We appreciate all your help, and from all the other drivers that you've helped through the years. Here's your thank you,
Yes.
Ryan.
Thank you.
And we encourage everyone to go by there and have them a gander. You've got a pretty unique store there, and I had never been there until we went to the poker run, and you got her full, bud.
Yep, we do. Yep.
You got her full. So
Now, hang on. I will say, if you want a walk-in appointment, Monday and Friday are not the days.
Those are tough. Those are
Tuesday, Wednesday, possibly Thursday.
Yep.
Wednesday is your best bet.
okay.
If you, we kind of give the rule of thumb is if you give us 48 hours of your life, and right across the street from us is a place called Travel Lodge. And there's 20 hotels within walking distance. I'll transport you to the hotel in most cases. If you don't want to walk, if it's raining or snowing, we'll deliver you. We'll pick you up. The place that a lot of guys go, which is literally because it's walkable, and it's beside the Sherwin-Williams, it's Travel Lodge. You tell them your commercial, it's $62, and the inside of that is completely redone. So that means that floor is clean, tile bathrooms, floor to ceiling. This place is clean. This is not a bed bug city. It's more or less a pretty good $62 deal. It's beside Cracker Barrel and Perkins and Runnings and the Trade Winds. There's a nice little bar over there, Galley and Chubby Trout, and a place called Smoking Fatties that is smoking some pigs. And this is a nice little area where if you have to stay or we are really struggling, we will make sure that we get it taken care of for you We're going to make it as seamless as possible. We got Wi-Fi, coffee, water, lounge. Every now and then somebody's so tired they'll be sleeping in the lounge, but at the end of the day, we will make it comfortable. And just like you guys were talking about, our client earlier that was here, I was actually here with him at 9:30 that night, knowing that it needed to finish correctly. He needed to be taught. So when my guy was done, I went through every item with him. I went through the weight distribution system with him. Like you said, we do the video as well. And then at the end, we commonly are going to lubricate it. And that's the other thing we do that a lot of people don't do. We're lubricating it so it's prepped for service. It's not just out of the box Amazon or some place that's used to people who aren't really using it. And it's going to be some kind of a garage queen or whatever. Our people are going to use it. So we lubricate it right out of the box. And then we try to give them the thought process of how to care for this. So maybe it makes it all the way through the life of the truck. I mean, that's our goal is to, we like it when people get the next truck, but obviously we want our stuff to last as long as possible.
Life on the road, miles of bugs, freezing temperatures. Get your Rain-X 2-in-1 today. Link below.
We were talking about the next deal you got planned. So once you talk a little bit, I know you probably don't have all the details lined out on that one, but let's talk about your next deal after this upcoming one that we're doing. You got another one you're kind of working on, right?
Yep. In September, we're going to try to put something together with you guys and just have a driver's appreciation at our place. Do something similar. Maybe kind of continue on with your guys' theme of taking care of people who are needy through that process and deserve our efforts. But we'll definitely be having on property here, and we've got kind of 5 acres beside us, so there'll be plenty of room for vehicles to be coming and going, and we'll put together something very similar to what you're doing now for your appreciation and your Optivet. We'll try to put together something similar to that and just have a driver's appreciation over here.
Okay. Do you have a date for that yet?
Is it September 19th?
Okay.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yep, that's the date.
Yes.
So we're going to be working towards that as well. So we're excited to do that with you in the future, and we'll probably get back on here, and then maybe you guys will have or have people that will have some more questions or more conversation that they can have.
Yep.
It's always nice to be. It's nice that they're asking you questions. I mean, that's the cool part about being here with us. We commonly have a solution for just about everything related to this industry because, other than dash cams, because people can be particular about those, and easy passes, other than those things, to almost any list I can complete. And depending on the person's arrival, I can complete that list in 24 to 48 hours if we know you're coming. And if we don't know you're coming, we'll just do it as fast as we can.
I know you told me with enough money, we could do anything.
We can do anything because my techs will stay. Or you want to build I built a one-off U tank in a short bed Ram once that went around the back. So he had 60 in the front and 90 in the back.
Wow.
So he had 60, 90, and he left his 30-ish on the underbody tank. But that guy was going in and out of Canada. And, in Saskatchewan, they sometimes complain if you have over 50 extra gallons. But basically, as long as it's hooked into the truck and you're not pumping it out, that's really the main drag for those guys because their fuel's $8 a gallon. So, we did a custom build with a U tank at the back. That was probably one of the ones where you're just like, he took up almost every usable space that was left, which was fun.
Yep. Hey, Ryan, one thing we haven't talked about, tell everybody exactly where you're located.
We're at 111 Alt Drive. So we're on the north side of Elkhart in what's called North Point Plaza. So that's kind of where we fit in with the fact that we're right here in the middle of the hotels. We're at the exit 92 exit on the toll road. So we're literally within, I would say, 25 minutes of most yards where people are picking up, 25 minutes from most of the various companies. So, we're kind of centrally located where, worst case scenario, if somebody wants to if they're doing a reset, it's pretty simple to do a reset here. And generally, like right now, I'm doing a set of full air ride on a client on a Ford, and I'm going to just miss his reset window. I'll have it done in about 40 hours from his arrival time. And we're doing an air ride on a Ford with a compressor system, so we're right here, north side Elkhart.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Well, those are all, you're a wealth of knowledge. That's
Yes. Yeah.
you're a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
And
So, our event, Justin, is June 6th, 2:00. It's a Saturday. It's on the south side of Goshen, near the Amish Walmart. I think it's 6-4. I can't remember the address, but it's on 38 across the street from the BP gas station. So if you guys are following our channels, you're gonna hear us announce it 100 times before then. There's also flyers everywhere that we're posting and handing out. I gave some to Ryan the other day. I'm assuming you got those.
Yep, those are out. Yep.
So,
yeah, we appreciate that.
That's where to be. Yeah,
Yep.
that's where to be to enter the raffles. Ryan, Dan's Hitch is going to do the fuel tanks and a fifth wheel. We also have 3 or 4 other vendors that are coming, bringing great prizes as well. So you're not going to want to miss it. That's for sure.
yeah, the other big one we got is we got some pretty nice fuel cards coming, boys. And diesel fuel is a hot item right now.
Nice.
So we've got some fuel cards coming that have got some big dollars on them. So anyhow,
that's awesome. You guys will be able to fill up their tank with a fuel card.
yes, there will be a fuel card with enough cash on it to fill your truck to the top.
Wow.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So anyhow, and we're gonna have some good food, right? So yeah, if you don't care about diesel fuel or fuel tanks or fifth wheel hitches, you can come eat till you're a glutton. So, and you can take turns making fun of me and making fun of Seth. So anyhow, well, we want to thank everybody for watching. Like, subscribe.
Yes,
Ryan, thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Absolutely.
We surely appreciate it. And thanks, Sean, for coming by. You didn't get to say much, but that's all right.
That's all right. No one wanted to hear what I had to say anyway.
But you're chewing up the miles, though. You're getting them. You're getting it done. I can see that.
Right.
I'm trying. Yeah. Someone's got to work out of this group.
Well, we knew that you and Ryan had a working relationship that's lasted several years, so we thought maybe that would be a good combination.
Many years.
Yes, decade plus.
So
yeah, that really, truly, that's the first thing I bought from him was a battery, and didn't have a credit card with me. I said, "Can I give you the number?" And thinking to myself, he ain't gonna take it. I have this number written down on a piece of paper, and he's like, "Give me a minute." And he dealt with another customer, come back. What is it? Blah 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 blah. Have a good day.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
We just tried. That's right. I love it. That's awesome.
Yep. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We're not going to keep no more of your time. You have a good evening, Ryan. We'll look forward to talking to you in the future. And we'll see you on June 6th.
Awesome. I appreciate it. We look forward to it.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
Thanks.